There is a bridge on Clinton Road in the woods of West Milford, and if you stand on it in daylight and look down into the water, you will see coins. Not a few, hundreds of them, lying on the stream bed, quarters and dimes and pennies going green in the current. Every one of them was thrown in by somebody who was trying to get a dead child to do something. They call him the Ghost Boy. The story is that he drowned under this bridge near a bend called Dead Man's Curve, and that he is still down there, and that he is willing to prove it. You go at midnight, you throw a coin in, and if he is in the mood, it comes back, flicked onto the bridge behind you. Some say he was sitting on the edge of the bridge and slipped. Some say he jumped to get out of the way of a car that came round the curve too fast. Some say he was pushed. And about a mile from that bridge, in May of 1983, a man riding a bicycle stopped because he saw a turkey vulture pulling at something in the brush. It was a human being in a green garbage bag. That one is not a story. We know his name, we know what was done to him, and we know who did it. But start with the road, because by most accounts, this is the most haunted road in America. It runs about 10 miles, from Route 23 near Newfoundland, up to Upper Greenwood Lake, through West Milford in Passaic County. Almost no houses. Almost everything on either side is woods. It has been named one of the 20 most haunted roads in the world, and it pulled over 300,000 Google searches in a single recent year. A West Milford police chief once put it as well as anyone. A long, desolate stretch that makes the imagination go nuts. Most of what people know about it was collected by a magazine called Weird NJ, which has run so much on this one road that it once handed it an entire issue. Start with the truck. It is black, it is a pickup, and it comes up behind you. People have been reporting it for over 30 years. Some say the driver is a man named Giles Jones, who farmed off Clinton Road and never left. Some only ever see the lights. The story is that it rides you, runs you toward the shoulder, and then where the woods break, it is gone, and there was no turnoff it could have taken. Then there is the Camaro. They say a girl died at the sharpest bend on this road when her blue Chevy went into the wall, and that if you drive that curve at night and tell her story out loud, you will hear the engine first, and then feel the air move as she goes past. There is nobody behind the wheel. People who pull over near that curve say they hear a crash, the tires, the impact, the whole thing, and get out and find nothing on the road at all. Then there are the animals. Something in the trees with eyes that catch your headlights from too far off at the wrong height. Hikers hear howling that matches nothing living in New Jersey. The story goes, an officer was once called out to a large black dog-like animal and found no tracks at all. People here call it a hellhound. Some say the Jersey Devil. And there are the people in the trees, robed figures up at the ruins of Cross Castle, chanting, chains rattling in the woods. The claim, repeated for decades, that these woods have been used for clan meetings and for satanic rituals, out here where nobody can hear it. And then there is the couch. The story goes that you come round a bend, and there is a sofa sitting in the middle of the lane, and the whole point of it is that you will stop, get out, and walk over to look. That is what it is for. Whatever is waiting in the tree line for you to leave your car is described, depending on who is telling it, as cannibals. Now, here is the mechanism, and it is the thing that makes all of this possible, because a road cannot hold this many ghosts unless somebody keeps it empty. Around 1900, the city of Newark went looking for water and bought the Pequannock watershed, 35,000 acres of forest, ridge, and stream with 4 reservoirs in it. Newark still owns it. Newark is a dense industrial city 40 miles away, and the forest it owns out here is roughly twice the size of Newark itself. It did not buy the land to build on. It bought it so nobody else ever could, because water picks up whatever is upstream of it. Roughly 2/3 of West Milford is closed to development, and you cannot legally walk into most of those woods without a $19 permit from the city of Newark, which means the dark out here is real dark. No streetlights because no houses. No houses because no lots. 10 miles of 2-lane blacktop through a forest deliberately held empty since 1900, so the water off Barefoot Mountain arrives clean in a tap in Essex County. Whatever is in those trees has had a century and a quarter of nobody looking at it. There was a town out here once. It was called Clinton, and it existed to work an iron furnace that started up in 1826 and quit around 1852. The road is named after it. The town itself is not there anymore. Newark finished the Clinton Reservoir in May of 1892, and the water sits where it stood, 423 acres, 42 feet deep in places. The furnace stack is still standing in the trees. In 1905, a wealthy New York banker named Richard Cross started building a summer house on a hill above what is now Clinton Road. It was not a cabin. 40 rooms, stone quarried on the site, hot water heating, a private gas plant, and a separate fireplace in every single room. $1.5 million in 1905 money for a family of 5 in the middle of a forest. It was never finished. Cross died in 1917, and in 1919, the family sold it to the city of Newark for $155,000 because Newark was still buying the watershed, and the castle happened to be standing in it. Newark had no use for a castle. Newark wanted the drainage. So a 40-room mansion was left empty in the woods, and it stayed there for 70 years, coming apart slowly in the dark. The carriage house and the stables burned in 1940. That is what people were walking up the hill to find at 2 in the morning. A vast, unfinished stone house, roofless, 70 years abandoned, with a fireplace in every room and nobody in any of them. You can see why the robed figures moved in. Somewhere in there, it stopped being Richard Cross's summer home and became the Satanic Castle, and the more people came, the more they brought. Spray paint, bottles, hammers. On the 28th of July, 1988, a contractor hired by the city of Newark knocked what was left of it down. Part of one wall is still there, and some foundation. Further up the trail, there is a round stone water tower that used to feed the house. Think about that. The thing people drive out here at night to look for was pulled down 38 years ago, and it came down because of the people who drove out at night to look for it. The castle is gone. The robed figures are still here. The lions were real though. From 1972 to 1976, Warner Brothers ran a drive-through safari park in West Milford called Jungle Habitat. 800 acres, 26 miles of paved road, and a lot of animals that had no business being in New Jersey. It closed after 4 years, and those roads are still out there in the trees. So when somebody here tells you there is something in the woods that howls wrong, they are not making it up out of nothing. There were big cats in these trees inside living memory. Which brings it back to the green bag. His name was Daniel Deppner. He was killed somewhere between February and May of 1983. The autopsy found evidence of poisoning and of strangulation. He was wrapped in green garbage bags and left in the brush a few feet off Clinton Road. And if that vulture had not given him away, he could have lain in those woods for years. The man who put him there was Richard Kuklinski, and he is the reason this road turns up in true crime books as often as it turns up in ghost stories. He lived about 30 miles from here, in Dumont, in a suburban house with his wife Barbara and their 3 children. He hosted barbecues. The neighbors thought he was a big, quiet family man, and his family have always said they had no idea. What he actually did, on the record, was run a burglary ring and lure men to meetings with the promise of a good deal, and then kill them and take their money. Daniel Deppner was in that ring. So was a man named Gary Smith. Kuklinski killed both of them for the most ordinary reason there is. He was worried they would talk. Gary Smith went first. In 1982, Kuklinski fed him a hamburger laced with cyanide. When the poison took too long, Smith was strangled with a lamp cord. His body was found under a bed in a motel. Deppner followed the next year and ended up in the bag on Clinton Road. The nickname came from a third man. Louis Mazgay was 50, and he was last seen in 1981 on his way to buy blank videocassette tapes from Kuklinski, carrying close to $100,000 in cash. He was shot. Then his body went into an industrial freezer for around 2 years, so that when it turned up, it would look fresh and give the wrong date of death. It nearly worked. What gave it away was the weather. Kuklinski put the body out on a warm night without letting it thaw, and the medical examiner found ice still in the tissue around the heart. That is where the name comes from. Not Deppner, not Clinton Road, a different victim in a different state, 2 years in a freezer. This road borrowed the name later because it made the story better. He was caught in December of 1986, and the way it happened is worth a minute. A federal agent named Dominic Polifrone spent months posing as a mobster, getting close to him, taping him. Kuklinski was arrested after agreeing to help Polifrone murder a man who did not exist. Polifrone only found out afterwards that he had been next on Kuklinski's own list. In 1988, a jury convicted him of killing Gary Smith and Daniel Deppner. He pleaded guilty to Mazgay and to a man named George Maliband, and years later, in 2003, to the murder of an off-duty New York City police detective named Peter Calabro. Consecutive life sentences. He died on the 5th of March 2006, age 70, in the prison wing of a Trenton hospital. That is the record. 5 murders, proven. Now here's the part to be careful with, because this is where a lot of retellings go off the rails. From prison, he gave hundreds of hours of interviews, to psychiatrists, to writers, to HBO, and the number kept climbing. 100, 200. He said he was a mafia contract killer. He said he helped kill Gambino boss Paul Castellano outside Sparks Steakhouse. He said he was in on Jimmy Hoffa. Almost none of that stands up. Jerry Capeci, who has covered the New York mob for decades, calls him the Forrest Gump of mob hits. Anthony Bruno, who wrote the first book about him, thought the Castellano claim was highly unlikely. Even Philip Carlo, whose book carries the biggest claims, later conceded one was untrue, and there was money in the telling. His daughter has said her mother pushed him to do the interviews and was paid for them. So the Iceman you have heard of is partly a real man, and partly a story he sold from a cell in Trenton. The part nobody disputes is the part that happened here. Somebody put Daniel Deppner in a bag and left him in these woods. A bird found him, and that man went to prison for the rest of his life. And he did not pick this road because of the ghost boy. He picked it because it is 10 miles of forest that the city of Newark has been keeping empty since 1900. And a man in his line of work knows an empty place when he sees one. Every reason this road is good for ghost stories is a reason it was good to him. So here is what is actually out there tonight. 2 lanes, no lighting, no shoulder in places, sharp curves through heavy woods, and deer that do not read. West Milford is the biggest township in Passaic County, over 80 square miles, policed by 46 officers. Go off the pavement into the trees at 2 in the morning, and it will be a long time before anybody knows. And the families who do live along this road are not part of the show. Their sleep is what gets spent when a van comes through at 1 in the morning, leaning on the horn to call up a truck. Go anyway. Go in daylight. It is one of the prettiest stretches of road in New Jersey. The reservoirs are worth the drive on their own. And for $19, Newark will let you walk up Barefoot Mountain and stand on the foundation of a 40-room castle. Just be off Clinton Road before the light goes.